Miss Dion, where's Miss Dion?
I'm going to wait for my computer to say 7 o'clock. I'm sorry.
Do I have enough time to ask another question?
It's
So-
beginning to look a lot like
And especially
Christmas.
since on the board of the YMCA. The YMCA, the enrichment
Toys
programs
in
that they
every
have that go on in
store.
Rochester. Do you know how,
When you say in Rochester.
in the school system, so
Oh.
there's the enrichment programs that happen in the or Dartmouth school system or something. So if you look at the YMCA book, and they have things like robotics and and claymation and stuff like that, but then they say only available, it's Dartmouth, only available in the
That makes
Dartmouth
more
school
sense.
system.
Mike, you all Wi-Fi'd now?
Not yet.
What about it?
Maybe I'll talk to Bob about it, but how do they, is that a partnership between the school system and
Yes.
the YMCA?
Yes, it is.
Because I'm jealous every single time that I see that.
Well, we're hoping that our
Well, it's about time.
After
We're
the-
gonna
school
start to
time
you
will
guys.
be a similar thing.
With
All
the
set,
YMCA.
Renee.
Thanks. I just didn't know how they did it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is December 5th, and this is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Wareham School Committee. We'll begin the agenda with public participation. Is there anybody who would like to address the committee? Seeing none, we'll move on to good news. Dr. Rabinovich.
Okay. All right, now those are the meetings of the last meeting. And I thought I had printed out. All right, well, I have a couple here. The West Wareham Academy has just gone through a reapproval process with the state, and West Wareham Academy received full approval as a public special education program from the Department of Education. This is a yearly process that they have to go to stay accredited. Also at West Wareham Academy, there is an opportunity for some of their students to take an online French class, I believe through E2020, to probably piggyback along with the middle school. And this course is aligned with the Mass Common Core. There was also at the Deacon's School, and Mike, maybe you remember from their newsletter, that their chorus is performing for the seniors, I believe, coming this month.
No, I don't remember
There's
that.
going to be a cookie, tea and cookies with seniors. Seniors are going to come, and then the chorus will perform for them.
Yeah,
So that's an upcoming event.
just the chorus, right? Because my son's in the band, and I know they keep them separate.
Okay,
You know? Yeah,
I read chorus, I'm
Yeah.
not sure about the band.
yeah, it's probably just the
But
chorus.
that was one of the things.
Cool.
As well as they're planning their first elementary school honor society induction will be happening. We can remember that probably about, I think it was last year, we approved a club as an honor society for elementary school at the Deacon's School. And they've been going through the things, and they have their first induction coming up. And so that is also good news.
Is it the second one or the first one? Because they did it last year too, right?
Oh, so it's the second then.
Well,
I
maybe-
read it on the thing, and
Well, maybe one was junior. Maybe this is the full blown
Okay.
one. Yeah.
so that is also happening, which is good news. We also, I'm gonna be talking a little more about this under my report, but we had not the bid opening, but we had the pre-bid meeting for the Wareham High School roof today at the high school. We had interest from about 12 vendors. And Michelle and I, after a lot of work, zipped the file so that we could send it because it was over the 25 megabits of space, and even on Comcast, I needed to zip it below that to send it. Even zipping it below 16 was not enough on our own integrity system. But we were able to send it. However, we now have a couple of people that don't know how to unzip it, and they've asked for us to mail them a hard copy because they can't unzip it. So, Michelle, that will be tomorrow's work. But it's good news that we're this far. And next Wednesday, a week from today, we will have the bid opening in the superintendent's office at 2 p.m. And we hope to get that awarded quickly. We have to evaluate all the bids, and we have a gentleman working with us on that. And then I will ask Derek Sullivan to present it. I may go with him to the Board of Selectmen to ask them to award the bid so that we can get the work started before we have much snow. So that is also good news.
It's interesting, you spoke about West Wareham. I was at a Cape Cod Collaborative, I guess it was actually a Finance Committee meeting last night, and their attendance is actually a little down. And the reason I'm told it's down is because more schools are keeping their kids in the district. I don't have the sense they're keeping them in the district with the kind of specialized program that we have. They're just keeping them in the main school buildings. It'll be interesting to see if that trend continues and whether it's successfully handling to the satisfaction of both parents as well as teachers and students. Any other good news? Ken, Mike, Rhonda?
No.
Cindy, what's going on in the high school?
So today the high school went over to the middle school to, with a lot of students, to inform them about the clubs and the things that we offer at Wareham High School,
Great.
to persuade them to go to,
Can you talk a little louder?
to persuade them to go to Wareham High School instead of Upper Cape, in short words. And from the feedback I got from the students that went, the kids seemed excited, interested. So we hope to hold back some of the kids who plan to go to Upper Cape back to Wareham. And from I know, the drama club had their story theater last week, and it was very successful.
Excellent. How many kids did you meet with at the middle school, would you say?
I did not go, but
Approximately.
I think we sent approximately 20 kids over.
20
20 kids from
went
the
all-
high school went to the middle school?
But how many, essentially the whole 8th grade
It's
was?
essentially new.
Interesting. Excellent. Thank you. Moving on to the minutes of November 28th. Trusting you've had a chance to review them. I'll take a motion to approve unless people have some additions or corrections.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Aye.
302. Excuse me, Michelle? Oh, good. Okay from Michelle is good news. Okay. Moving on to the Wareham High School student trip. We have representative from the art department, Ms. Dion. Welcome. And
Principal Palladino is
And
going to
Mr.
join.
Palladino.
Yes, ma'am.
Sure,
And just
please.
use that microphone.
Did you bring your attorney with you? Is that why, is that why Mr. Lazarus is here?
No, I don't, that has nothing to do with me.
Oh, okay.
Just the art department would like to propose a field trip to New York City for April 12th. This is our third year wanting to do this. We go to a couple of museums. During the course of the day, we go to Times Square. The children have dinner in Times Square. They then go on to a Broadway play after that. Coming home, after the play is done, we do arrive home around 2:30 in the morning. The once a year event where their parents want to pick them up at 2:30 in the morning. So, we leave early, we could leave early like at 5:30.
Any questions from the committee? Yes. Ken?
April 12th, is there a particular reason for that date, and why wasn't it considered the following week when it's school vacation and there's no lost time from school?
April 12th is the day before vacation because they were coming back so late. We figured it would just roll into vacation. Also because if there were families actually going on vacation and they were going to be away, it wouldn't leave those students out.
So it's nothing to do with particular shows that are available only on that date, that could be available during the week of school vacation?
Cost does increase for the week on vacation. Sometimes for the shows, we've had that where we've looked into shows during the week and the cost is higher.
Okay.
Mike?
No, I'm just impressed that you're gonna be gone from 5 in the morning till 2:30 in the morning. So, have a good time.
We enjoy it. Kids enjoy it. Their excitement is what keeps this going, so.
Yeah.
Cliff?
Experiential education, that's what I'm all about. Good job. But I gotta say that I didn't see it on the itinerary, but I highly recommend the 9/11 Museum. It's free, you just have to book ahead of time. And I think because our kids still have a recollection of that day, it's a very impressive place. So that would be my only thing. If you can get a chance to get there, do it.
Okay. We were considering it for the morning, because that is sort of the time we have when we first get there.
Very impressive.
And then the afternoon is usually our big museum.
Rhonda?
Just when it comes to the, missing school time, and I don't know if any committee members have concern, but I was able to go on this one year, and it is a huge educational opportunity for our kids. There's so much that they learn that day, and, again, I support this every single year and hope to see more of it. And I'm trying my best to be able to see if I can get to be one of the chaperones again, but spices might fill up.
Couple questions. You made one direct, one indirect way, you made a reference to the fact that the tour is completely optional and there are no penalties for not participating in the tour. Why all that emphasis on that issue?
It wasn't going to, the students aren't going to be graded down for it if the students within the art classes aren't, not everybody goes because.
Do people actually fear not going, as, that they just would suddenly not be in your favor?
No,
Okay, so,
that's the wording that's been on in the last 3 years.
okay, so there's no particular reason for the emphasis.
So I just wanted to be clear that it's not going to affect their grades
Okay.
if they don't show.
Okay. I share my colleague, Mr. Fonce's concern about lost school time. On the other hand, I see a balance that it's apparently extremely educational, and I understand your feelings about being available to every student, regardless of their family vacation plans. The other phrase that caught my eye, and maybe this is an old phrase, and maybe it didn't catch my eye in prior years, that you will take into account each student's fundraising efforts. Now, one way of reading that is the more you fundraise, the more likely you are to be able to go. Is that the intent of that phrase?
No, they have to participate in fundraising to be able to go. If they show up 2 days before the trip wanting to go, those slots have most likely been taken, and students have been fundraising all year long. So students need to understand that they can't go unless they have participated in raising funds to cover the bus and the play through the course of the year.
So it's an issue.
It's not like you've got to sign up, you have to sign up now. You can't come to me 2 days before the trip without having participated in the efforts to raise the funds to go on it.
So it's more an indication of effort than success in raising money.
Correct.
Okay, good. do we take a vote on this? I think we do,
I
yes?
think, yes, we do.
Yes, okay.
'Cause
Any,
it's an out-of-state travel.
right, is there any other discussion that people would like to have on this trip?
Just want to comment, you were
Yes.
talking about fundraising. The kids were actually out this past weekend already fundraising for the tickets of the sales. They were at the, what are they called? The Elf on the Shelf ride at Makepeace and the Old Company store. And they were doing some great fundraising activities there
Okay,
already.
good.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make no further questions. I'd like to make a motion to approve the WHS student trip to New York as presented.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Have a great, safe trip.
Amy, before you leave, Mr. Chairman, just for a
Yes.
point of information, would you just briefly, I know you, I didn't tell you about this, so maybe you're not prepared, but just tell people about the other trip that you're taking kids on that is in-state. You don't need permission, but it's gonna happen. So the
The ICA?
yes, ICA, thank you.
Well, we have a trip planned for the Institute of Contemporary Art in Boston, for a group of 45 students. We do take many trips. We just came back from one to New Bedford Art Museum, and the UMass Star Store campus, along with some studios on Hatch Street, New Bedford. So students really were seeing the whole gamut from college, post-secondary education through where they can go afterwards. And then we've got one that was just grant supported by the Wareham Foundation for Education that will go to the Institute of Contemporary Art, and that's really going to have a focus on cross-curricular, trying to get kids from foreign language classes, English classes, and art classes.
I just wanted people to understand that Amy does a lot of this, as Cliff said, experiential learning experiences for kids within the state without, and it's all about the learning for it. And she writes the grant. I think this is her third time she's written a grant for the foundation to try to find these funds to help these projects. So my hat's off to you and all the work that you do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to acceptance of gifts.
One of our own members, Mr. Flaherty, who won a raffle, he mentioned that, I think, under good news at the last meeting. And he has donated the $50 that he won towards the Deacon's School playground. I recommend acceptance of this gift.
Wasn't that a new car that he won and not $50?
No, it was $50.
Move acceptance.
Second.
Is there evidence that he won the raffle fair and square?
It was a middle school raffle, wasn't it?
He's giving it to us. Be quiet.
Okay. I have a motion to accept this gift. No further discussion will be allowed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Aye.
5-0-0.
No,
Oh, no,
4-0.
I abstained.
Oh, you abstained. Thank you.
Yeah.
4-0-1. Moving on to, I believe it's policy.
School committee reports.
School committee reports. Yes, policy review committee.
Mike, you wanna keep going on this one? Or do you want me to do it? I don't remember.
Oh, God. I don't, well, I wasn't even there for the other ones. I just relied on the minutes.
Yes.
I guess this was a carryover from the last meeting that I wasn't here for, and, I don't believe there were any significant changes. I think the problem was that the committee didn't have a chance to preview it.
That's exactly right.
Correct, yes. So, this is the Acquired Immune Deficiency Syndrome School Attendance Policy. Does anybody have any questions or comments about the policy? I do. There's a whole section, in fact, the body of it. The following guidelines are recommended by the Governor's Task Force on AIDS for implementation in school systems throughout the Commonwealth. And then it lists 4 different things, such as a child that has cutaneous skin eruptions or weeping lesions that cannot be covered, he or she should not be in school. And that's just one example. And these are serious issues. And yet each one of these is really a directive to parents about what they should and should not do, or what they should and should be aware of before they make a decision to allow the child to come to school, to attend regular classes, et cetera, et cetera. And the reason I say that is because it is totally voluntary, for understandable reasons, whether the parent informs the school system, even the point nurse, school nurse, whether the child has acquired immune deficiency syndrome. Therefore, it seems to me that as a technical matter, since we have no idea what child has this syndrome, we have to treat every child as if they do. I'm sorry, that's just pure logic. And that concerns me. Now, I'm not offering a solution except to say that if you can't know if a child does have it, and all of these precautions are up to the parent to make sure that they do the proper thing, and we can't rely on every single parent doing the proper thing, then by definition, we could have a child with, in the example that I just gave, weeping lesions in school, and we have no idea whether that child has this syndrome. So by pure logic and the way I assure you the healthcare system would handle this, we have to assume that every child has the disease. So your comments, please.
So from a school's perspective, if a child presented some symptoms, as you said, with sores that were open and so forth, the first thing that, whether it be the teacher or the administrator, would send them to the nurse, who's the medical professional in the building. If they then, if it goes on this back page and it says, if school authorities believe that a child diagnosed as having AIDS or with clinical evidence of the infection, and it talks about that they can dismiss the child from class and request authorization from the child's personal physician. So much like when a child, I suppose, develops measles, mumps, or other infectious kind of diseases, we take the proper safety precautions, and even if we assume that they have it by the symptoms, then we get in touch with the parent and ask them to have the child cleared by their personal physician, and that's exactly what we would do with this. It would only come up if it was seen, or if you had, I suppose, somebody that was spitting at somebody or spreading in another manner. But, and this is where we bring in the school physician. The school nurse would talk to our school physician if they weren't up on exactly what they were looking at.
Real life. There's a minor trauma in the school. I'm not even talking about athletics, where trauma is certainly more frequent.
Mhm.
But for whatever reason, they happen to cut themselves while they're in school. We would have no idea whether that person is capable, has the syndrome.
Correct.
Okay.
And therefore, we treat all blood pathogens as if it was infected, and there are protocols, and in fact, in every teacher's desk, there should be plastic gloves and stuff to absorb, and the custodian is called, and they've all had training in how to deal with it.
So what you're saying is that we already have the protocol for blood, so that the assumption is
Any
it could
bodily
be infection.
fluid.
Could be
Any bodily
infectious.
fluid.
Correct.
Okay.
Any body fluid, thank you.
And so in the cleaning, I'm thinking now of our custodians, in the cleaning of our bathrooms, we assume that the bathrooms are contagious, are
Correct.
infected.
They should all be wearing gloves and take whatever other precautions are necessary.
Okay, so you're not concerned with that the absence of information is putting our students and staff at risk, because the actions that we're taking, which would cause transmission, should prevent it.
In 41 years, it has not caused a problem,
Okay?
in my experience.
Okay?
Well, if they're not entitled to know, and they've got skin eruptions or weeping lesions, I mean, it's a safe assumption that there's something wrong with the child.
Well, unless it's trauma.
Right, but the point is, you know, we've got protocols in place for bodily fluids, and protocols in place for infectious diseases. So, you know, the point is, I don't know to what degree of specificity you're looking for.
No, I think I've gotten my answer,
Oh.
and that is for the normal method of transmission, as Dr. Rabinovich says, if someone starts spitting at somebody else,
Right.
that's different. But
Right.
the normal method of transmission would be bodily fluids, which would be bathroom-oriented, or a cut, which we're already handling appropriately. So I'm reassured, and as long as you're assured, I'm reassured, and we can move on. Ken?
Yeah, and just to piggyback on what Dr. Rabinovich is saying, Sunday in the gymnasium, a girl doing basketball hit her head on the floor and blood was on the floor, and the custodian, we cleared the area and custodian showed up with the proper cleaning, the gloves and everything, so I'm comfortable that everyone is in line with the procedures on how to handle all bodily fluids. I see your point. It almost goes on the line of what you're probably certified in too as a coach, is the concussion policy, where we're assuming that someone has a concussion and they're sent out of the game before they can return. They have to have a sign off by a physician, and I think this pretty much is almost on the same line.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 5-0-0.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
also just to report to the school committee, the policy review committee did meet last night. And I think we approved somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 policies, which will be coming before you. And I'm happy to announce that of all of those policies, we have 5 left to do.
Such productivity.
He's a taskmaster.
The taskmaster.
He was on fire.
He was on fire. That's good to hear. Okay, thank you. Superintendent's report.
So, the first one is about the Budget Advisory Committee. Today, December 5th, and tomorrow, December 6th, the Budget Advisory Committee is meeting from 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. in order to hear principals, directors, and coordinators explain what they need to run the schools or departments in the most efficient and student-centered manner. They will be bringing in their rationale, organizational charts, and capital lists and capital-looking projects.
Is that 8:30 or 8?
You're right, it was 8.
8 to 3,
Thank you.
right?
Yes, we did 8 to 3.
You lost
I
some
remember I
beauty
was
sleep?
there.
And on Thursday, January 3rd, there'll be an all-day budget review with the Finance Committee here in the middle school library. And the members of the Budget Advisory Committee are also invited to attend. I had a thought, and I know we'd have to post this, but if any members of the school committee would like to attend, and even, you know, if we're gonna have 3 members, then we can post it. But it will give you the opportunity of actually hearing the principals do their asking for what they need and being asked questions by FinCom as well as other members that are there. It's a full day, it goes from 8 to probably 4.
It's televised.
But it is televised, so, you know, you don't have to attend, but if you would like to be there, if you would let Michelle know.
What day?
That is on Thursday, January 3rd.
Michelle,
Is that an open meeting anyways, whether we attend or not?
It is an open meeting,
January 3rd?
right, but if we're gonna have school committee members that might ask questions that may be seen as deliberation, we should post it, even if it's
I
as
would
a workshop.
Can't we just post it anyways?
I was about to say, I plan to
Yes.
be there. That's a third. Why don't you just post it? Thank you, Cliff.
It was just a thought while I was writing this and thought I'd bring it up to the group. On Wednesday, January 9th, at our school committee meeting, and Jeff and I haven't finalize this, but at our last meeting, we mentioned that we would hold 2 public hearings that evening. One about the grade configuration, possible change, I believe, and the second one about the level of transportation services. So, you know, again, I've got to talk with the chair, but my thinking is that we do those first in the agenda, you know, and then I can go through the budget as we have it at that point. But that we get the public in and listen to them before we do any discussion of the budget.
This was discussed briefly, Cliff and Rhonda, in your absence a week ago, so your comments on this would be appreciated. It's just a thought at this point, it's just tentative, but it seems to make sense because of the implications to the community. Any thoughts you'd like to share about it?
No, I'm all for it. I mean, I think that we, you know, there's already been chatter about the grade level move, and it's appropriate to be able to hear from the parents and the community about these 2 important decisions.
Okay, Cliff?
No,
No problem?
No.
The only thing I would ask, and we probably wouldn't have enough time, but if you would want to add on the idea of uniforms to that meeting also.
How late do you want to stay?
I know.
Let's see what the agenda looks like, et cetera, and, but, hey, you know,
Both of these are fairly contentious issues.
I know.
And there are 4 scenarios on the transportation part.
Okay.
So,
I'll give it some thought and sort of figure out how long, you know, we could,
Could be the icebreaker.
icebreaker.
and
That's-
just
it's-
remember, my normal budget presentation is over an hour.
I know.
But I appreciate the thought. Okay,
On Wednesday, January 16th, there will be another public hearing right here in this auditorium, at which time the Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen and the Town Administrator and Dr. Rabinovich will be here presenting the budget once again. I will, in fact, I have an appointment Monday morning, or Monday sometime with I think he's still the acting TA, Mr. Sullivan, and we'll make sure that he knows that he's invited to the meeting when we're doing this on the 3rd, so that he's pre-alerted to what people are asking for and so forth. And, you know, that may be I'm not sure if you can afford the full day, but,
I think it's important that the public understand the sequence, because it may seem redundant, but in fact, it's not. It's in business, you'd call it a bubble-up process, meaning you start with the people who are directly impacted by the budget, and they present their needs and their, the resources that they believe they need in order to achieve the educational goals for our students. That's occurring prior to January 5th, or?
that's happening.
That's starting
Right
to,
now.
that's already starting to happen.
Right.
The first actual school committee meeting where we get a presentation from the superintendent is the result of all the input that he has received, and he is now making that recommendation to the school committee. Now, normally, we could theoretically then take that recommendation and vote on it the next time, but the charter has now been revised so that a public hearing takes place. That always occurred, but the charter was revised to include the Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen in that public hearing. So that's the next meeting. The presentation, the difference in the presentation should not be basically anything. The difference is who attends that meeting. I think that's a fair statement. The 2 presentations should be pretty much identical.
From the 9th and the 16th?
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay. And then finally, as a result of feedback received on the 9th and even more so on the 16th from other boards and the public, there is a final presentation which may or may not be the same to the board, and they actually vote on that budget at that time.
On the 30th, I think.
No,
No.
I think it's more like the 23rd, but I could be wrong.
We have a meeting, we have a Wednesday off, I think, in between
Do we?
meetings, yes.
Okay, and anyway, that's the sequence, so I hope that makes sense to everybody. Mike?
On those 2 almost identical meetings, especially the 16th where the public hearing is, will the budget hard copies be available for every single line item that is on there?
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah, because I know we discuss it, and I think that, like, the FinCom has access to it, and, you know, we do up here.
Oh, and we would be putting that on the website now with our new policy.
Yeah, I mean, every single, I mean.
Yes.
But even in the past, I think you've done that, but I just don't know. Has that been past practice?
Well, I'm just saying, it would be done now as a policy for prior to the meeting, anything to be discussed would be on the website ahead of
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Right, I'm just saying, it's painstakingly transparent.
Yes.
And when people say that, you know, that we don't show our numbers, we by law show our numbers. I mean, right down to minute detail. So it's there.
Okay,
Yeah.
The vote is the 25th, Mr. Chair.
thank you. I thought it was before the 30th, yes. And I think it's 3 weeks in a row.
Okay.
Yeah.
The 16th is the joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen, the
Right.
following
You said the
Friday.
25th, though, that doesn't sound right. 23rd?
No, it's on a Friday, right?
No,
No, that's a typo. If it says, I don't think we've scheduled any Friday
no,
meetings.
we haven't.
Where are you, what are you looking at? What, your personal calendar or a document?
I'm looking at the calendar, because I had the 16th, are you saying that's a joint meeting with the Board of, no? It's a
Yes.
budget
The
joint?
16th is the public hearing on the budget with the FinCom and the Board of
Board of
Selectmen.
Selectmen? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So the
16th, 23rd.
23rd should be the vote of the school committee. I'm not sure how the 25th ended up.
So we've got, this is December.
That's
so
December.
we're on January.
It's the 30th,
It is the 30th. So
Yes.
we do
That's
skip a
what I
week.
thought.
yes.
Ah, okay.
Whatever.
The budget vote is January 30th.
And there's nothing on the 23rd?
No.
Okay, fine, that settles
30th.
that. Okay, so,
Yep.
so 9th, 16th, and then the 2 weeks later, a vote on the 30th. Okay, sorry.
School maintenance projects. As I mentioned earlier, Mr. Palladino entertained a group of vendors for the high school roof today. Gave out our
Did you do a
specifications.
song and dance?
He
Did you do a
entertained
song and dance?
Singing in the rain.
And so we have the opening coming up. We had the pre-bid meeting today, and a week later, we have the opening. Actually, December 11th at 2 p.m. is going to be the opening. 12th. Okay, I'm off a day. Thank you, Michelle. The Deacon's School walk-in freezer. I mentioned in a previous meeting, the compressor in the Deacon's walk-in freezer stopped working about 2 weeks ago. A box freezer has been rented. It's been dropped off and wired into the school. This freezer is now being used while we have a company that is fabricating new insulating walls for the current freezer and replacing the now defunct compressor with a much more modern compressor. The old one was run by running water. You can imagine our water bill. And so that will help with things being colder, as well as it will cost us less to run it. And all of the funding for this is coming out of the food service revolving account. It's not costing the LEA any funds. And the Wareham High School underground fuel tank. I awarded it to a Comtank. They're on the state bid list. They're going to remove the 2,000-gallon underground storage tank that was at Wareham High School and install an above-ground 1,000-gallon storage tank with a fence around it. The fuel in the tank is used for our emergency generator. And we needed to do this work because the tank failed our mandatory inspection by the Mass DPW that we had to go through. There's another organization of the Mass EPA, I think, that is involved in this as well.
What percentage of the high school does the generator run? Any idea? Mr. Palladino?
Emergency lighting would be about 5% of the
Ah.
lights, but it does run some of the security features as well.
And what about the freezer? Do you know if it does the freezer in the? It does, okay, so it keeps the food
Okay.
as well. Okay, I have another section of the superintendent's report. And so what I'd like to do is, I have a memorandum that I would like to read to the school committee. This is in reference to my public evaluation that was done by law, so that's why I'm doing this in public, as it needs to be done. So 3, 4, so if I can pass 4 that way and 3 this way. Members of the press, I'll be happy to give you a copy of this at the end of the meeting. And as an attachment that you may look at your leisure, that I am not going to read, are specific comments about specific entries on the evaluation. So I think we have 4 going that way. And 3 going that way. To the Wareham School Committee, from Dr. Barry Rabinovich, Superintendent, titled Rebuttal of the October 3rd, 2012 Evaluation of the Superintendent. This was written and edited multiple times, but this is the version from October 31st, 2012. With all due respect, I feel the need to respond to my evaluation. I feel I must address what I perceive as an injustice regarding my evaluation. I have served the Wareham Public Schools for the past 21 years, honorably, and the children of the Commonwealth for the past 41 years. I was hired as superintendent. I was asked to move into town. I embraced this request and became a part of this community. As I near the end of my career in public education, I feel that I deserve the respect and fairness that a fair and unbiased evaluation is intended to provide. I believe that the overriding goal of this evaluation was to deny me a raise. The evidence is a combined score of 64.45 and the lack of rounding that was used in the calculation. To the average citizen, I make a lot of money. But I chose to live and work in this community because of the students and the community. What you have been paying me for is my 41 years of experience in public education, my work ethic, my abilities to do more with less, and my PhD in educational leadership from Boston College. By rating me needs improvement, you have made my job more difficult. I am attaching, for the public record, my specific comments relative to your evaluation documents. During the remainder of my tenure as superintendent in Wareham, I will continue to exercise my authority in the administration of instruction and all business affairs. I will also use this opportunity to announce my retirement as of July 31st, 2013. I have been at my maximum retirement percentage for the last 6 years, but I've continued to work because of my commitment to this community, staff, and students. I have loved the work and the people, but will not miss the 24-hour nature of the work. Your evaluation has helped me make a difficult decision relative to retirement. I feel the last year had many accomplishments as well as challenges. Some of our successes were RTI training for all K-6 staff and coaching for grades 2 through 4, which is continuing this fall for kindergarten, 1st, 5th, and 6th grades. Pearson Inform was purchased and training has begun for administrative and staff. The ELA curriculum implemented and materials chosen. The new high school schedule was implemented. Power School was used by elementary staff this year for both progress reports and report cards. The iPad pilot implemented in each of our schools. We transitioned the leadership at the cooperative school and redesigned the program. We had a town meeting vote to accept debt exclusions. We had a Board of Selectmen vote to have a special election. We had a Finance Committee that voted to recommend the articles to town meeting. The Mass School Building Authority offered financial support for renovations at the Minot Forest Elementary School. The Literacy Committee has created lesson plans and uploaded them into Rubicon Atlas. Instructional leader positions were maintained as half-time interventionists and half-time instructional leaders. The PTA supported us with a year-long reading and math incentive program with awards given in May. The Foundation for Wareham Education has supported, at this point, $12,000 worth of projects for teachers. Communication was increased with families, community, with conversations with the superintendent, Facebook, and through elementary principals' coffees. The increase in the number of days students could participate in our after-school care and tutoring programs have continued. There is always a waiting list for these after-school programs. Elementary schools maintain the fine arts. East Wareham School and the Deacon's Elementary School have new playgrounds. Preschool received the NIAC accreditation, and kindergarten for kindergarten. Collaboration time was negotiated for 1 late day a week for our teachers at the elementary schools. As I look back upon my 41 years in education, I can truly say that I've enjoyed my work because I feel I have made a difference in the lives of students, staff, parents, and community. I will look back fondly at this time in Wareham. This community is caring, kind, and resourceful. The politics are not easy, but most of our leaders are trying to be respectful of each other. I am not saying farewell because I have much work to do. Thank you.
Is there any other business that the committee would like to bring to our attention? I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.